Hey guys, Angry Joe here, and I am back from a few days ago from a trip to Miami, Florida to check out some upcoming games from Paradox Interactive. And I wanted to do this little vlog sort of detailing what I saw, what you guys can look forward to as their upcoming game lineup. And so I want to talk a little bit about the things that I took away from the show. And I want to talk a little bit about grand strategy. Paradox has always been known for grand strategy. In fact, it's what keeps the company afloat. And it is very niche, it's very hardcore, but there's a huge market for it in Europe and the United States. And I have just not yet been able to break into grand strategy because I'm all about animations and toy factor, right? I need to see these visual representations of the battle. And grand strategy doesn't really do that. You have two men come up against each other and you see little negative numbers float above their head. But it does so much more in-depth logistics, diplomacy, politics, like all this stuff that is kind of left by the wayside in some of the more pretty strategy games like, you know, Civilization, Rome Total War, that kind of stuff. So here are my impressions. We'll take these games one at a time. So first up was War of the Vikings, and like I walked into that room and I said straight up, prove to me that this is not just copy paste for War of the Roses. And he took the challenge. Game developer Gordon took the challenge and essentially explained all the different things that they're adding to the game. Basically, they've taken a lot of what they've learned from War of the Roses and they're combining it with a slightly different feel for Vikings. For example, the maps are a lot smaller, and I love that. And what that does is it creates combat situations quick and fast. There's going to be no horseback riders, so that changes the dynamic. It's, you know, and it's Vikings, so it changes the dynamic there a little bit. There's, you know, a progression system, much the same way there was a progression system in War of the Roses, but here they're broken into tiers so that you actually have to level first before you get to that next tier, and then you can spend your in-game gold that you earn through gaining experience and killing people on new different items to customize your Vikings. They were talking about how, you know, the beards are like these exclusive things that, you know, when you see somebody with a gray beard, rather, you know that motherfucker is a pro, and it's going to be dangerous to go up against that guy on his own. So they let us play the game, and that was key because I wanted to see whether the game was fun. So they put us in like a tournament type setting. It was a ton of fun.
You were spectating. We're now looking at Angry Joe, who is as an archer, big shot right there, and he is proud of that headshot. They are very excited.
That was in the stream.
On stream, he shot in the eye. That's definitely an uncomfortable moment. In the face. In the face. So.
And, you know, I wouldn't be here telling you right now. I wouldn't have come home immediately after the convention and started playing War of the Vikings, which is early access on Steam, if it wasn't fun. Now, I played on stream with Mort Raven, Chris, and Dustin. Chris and Dustin hated it. They didn't like it. And I think it was because early access, it's still very early in the game, so there's still some things they need to work out. It feels too often like my hits aren't connecting when they should be connecting. But other than that, I think that the changes that they've done to the game rewards more aggressive play, perhaps almost a little too much where there's some spam swinging going on, and they need to make sure that there's no cheaters cheating with the stamina system, because if you're able to remove the stamina restriction, you just have people going crazy. But War of the Vikings obviously has to overcome some of the perceptions of War of the Roses for it to be its own thing and for people to buy into War of the Vikings. But from what I played, there are a few balancing issues, a few connection type issues, and I'm wondering, you know, these hitbox things. If they can get those things sorted, then it's a great title to play. And take a look at it on Steam if you're interested in that type of game. Okay, so next, they showed us the very next game that we played on stream was Magicka Wizard Wars, and I was scared at the fact that, you know, everybody seems to be jumping in the MOBA arena, and this, it has a little bit of a MOBA feel, or at least that's what I thought until I played it. It does have MOBA. You do have minions running around. You are capturing points. It's sort of more like a Dominion mode in a MOBA, but it's 4-on-4. And the fact that you're using the Magicka spell system it makes the game feel like its own unique animal. It is slightly different. It does take some things from MOBAs, but obviously you're not going to have different champions. Everybody is a wizard. And now you could customize your wizard with different robes, different staffs, different melee weapons, all sorts of different things to make your guy look unique and to give him some unique properties, which gives you bonuses to certain types of magic or resistance to certain types of magic, which helps keep the game fresh. It was a ton of fun in that mode. I played 4-on-4 and barely lost. It was an intense thing, but the single mode that they're adding to this game, which I think is going to help it succeed, is the duel mode. And this shit is like one-on-one, like MOBA kind of thing. You got this arena, and the arena's real small. It's basically like Spartacus, okay? It's like gladiators with wizards. It's just one-on-one. Who's faster? Who has the better spell casting skills? Who can position themselves better? Who is strategic enough about firing off their spells? And it makes the game so intense, so fun. They're short little, like less than 60-second matches, and what it is 4 people go in, and 2 people are sort of like standing in the crowd looking over at what the guys are doing, and then, you know, 2 wizards go at it. It is a ton of fun.
When we trained.
So now we actually do have Angry Joe. I apologize, I said that incorrectly before. It was Carnage and Hundar. Hundar winning. Now we have Angry Joe against Hundar going off right now. And there is some exciting noises. The duel has been won by the player Crockett, which of course is the Angry Joe.
Now, I must admit, when I first tried it, because I hadn't played Magic in a long time, since my review, essentially, I wasn't accustomed to the system, you know, Q, W, E, R, and A, S, D, F. You press a few of those to create these spell combinations, and I was getting my ass fucking kicked in duel, and it was frustrating the fuck out of me. It's like, I hate this shit.
Healing spell right there.
Oh, he made him immune to healing. What is going on?
It is chaos in the arena.
He is immune to healing. What is he doing?
What has happened? A big upset as John Carnage takes out Angry Joe. John Carnage, now they are getting quite verbal here. It's definitely intense here.
You know, there needs to be a training mode or a tutorial mode of some kind where I can feel comfortable, you know, with the spell system. And they said they are going to implement something like that. But I think it would be great if up on that rampart, the 2 spectators, maybe there's some test dummies there and they can fire off some spells. I think that would be cool, but it may be too distracting actually to the combat that's happening on the arena below. But I just think it's cool because it's got this spectator mode and then these participation mode where, you know, 4 players go at it. The first person to 6 wins, I think it is, wins the whole thing. And that really sets up this sort of tournament environment. It's really fun. So because Magicka Wizard Wars is free, I think there's absolutely no reason for you not to try it, especially with such a fun mode in Duel, where it's really about fast reaction skill and not about, you know, what champion is better than another champion or what champion is OP versus this champion that has no chance against this other champion, as you would find in League of Legends and maybe Dota 2. So it is different. It's not a MOBA. I understand the MOBA connections. It is its own thing, and I think it's worth playing. So I was really excited about Magicka Wizard Wars. I would play that again. In fact, I know I'm going to play that again on stream on Twitch at some point. That along with more War of the Vikings. The next game, so I think they sort of had a big three up there, which was War of the Vikings, Magicka Wizard Wars, and Warlock. And Warlock was another one. Warlock was basically like a Civilizations type clone, but it was in I know they're going to be super pissed because they don't like, you know, the comparisons to Civilization, but give me a fucking break. It looks like Civilization, it plays like Civilization, but it's more combat oriented. It's got spells in it, but... And I say, man, you should embrace that. You should embrace that because Civilizations is a fucking excellent game. And your game is actually a good game. Warlock 1 was a great game. And it was fantasy themed. And it had like neutral monsters that you would go out and fight. And you would go in the land and do these, you know, like pick up little ruins and quests and all sorts of stuff. And all of that is improved in the sequel. Now, Warlock 1 came without multiplayer. And then later on they patched it in. In Warlock 2, there's like multiplayer is coming out as the game comes out as a part of the game, and I was like, okay, so this is essentially the game that was supposed to come out with Warlock, but actually it has a whole lot more features than that, and they're not even advertising on the website. I was like, you guys gotta spread the word a little bit better. Instead of 3 races to play, there are 6 races to play this time around with unique play styles, and so already they're doubling their different ways to play. But the mode that has me most interested is a mode in this game called it's Exiled mode, I think is what it is. Yeah, the Exiled. And essentially, I love 4X games, and that's technically what sort of, you know, Civilization 5 is and some of the Empire simulators are. And this mode sort of resembles that because it's really cool. You start off on a shard, which is basically like this little floating mass of land with a bunch of hexes. You explore, you kill all the monsters, you kill all the rivals there, and then you can go to a different shard, and it's like this map, almost like a galaxy map, but it's fantasy themed, and you're going to these different shards until you can earn up enough power and have a powerful army to go and attack the enemy's headquarters shard or their homeworld shard. And I love that, you know, multiple paths, and you can, you know, choose to have a lot of shards or a small amount of shards to customize your gameplay experience. You can play that shit multiplayer and team up against the AI, all sorts of really cool stuff. So I was super excited about Warlock. There's a lot of fun to be had there. They're really embracing the wackiness, or not, I wouldn't say the wackiness, but the unique nature of some of their NPC monsters that roam the land. So I think that's really cool in the trailer. Check that out.
And swords. My trusty dragon and I head to the moon world, not because it is easy, but because it is hard and dangerous and filled with giant killer robots. Only a lunatic would live on the moon. Now we're off to the lava world. It looks friendly and warm and good God, what is that? Forget it. This fantasy wargaming is no joke. Warlock II.
They also have this modding mode here that essentially it's going to come with the game so that you can alter the modes, create custom scenarios, edit quests, place resources in cities in different locations and all sorts of stuff. And then you can share your modded creations over Steam, the Steam community, with other people, which I think is pretty cool. There's probably going to be some awesome stuff on that the community can create. So, and all this really, and I think it's in the same sort of package. They add to the spells, cast over 170 customized spells, and so there was a lot more added to that game than I originally thought, or that's even listed on their website right now. So I came away impressed, and because I love Civilization 5 so much, and I love the fantasy universe so much, and the idea of going out and encountering monsters and taking them down with your armies, in addition to fighting other players or other AI, I love this idea. I'm really looking forward to Warlock 2. I know I'm buying it straight up. And they always price these ones really good. I think the last Warlock was like $20, but being as this is the sequel and they've got a lot more features in it, they might do like 30. I don't know. But 30 would definitely be still worth it for me. So I was really impressed by these 3 games, what I came away with. I went in there with a negative attitude, really, and I came out saying, like, Warlock 2, I'm playing that shit. War of the Vikings, I'm going to go home right now. I'm going to stream some of that. Magicka Wizard Wars, I can't wait till they implement the duel mode and start dueling people on stream or taking on some of my angry army members and doing little Magicka Wizard War tournaments. I'm totally into that idea. So I was really impressed with those 3 games. Now, they also showed me some other games, and one of them being Runemaster, which it was an awesome interview. One of the best interviews I've ever done. I encourage you highly to go check out the interview that I did. It's the video before this. It's called Runemaster, the best interview story of all time, because you have Johan Anderson, and this is one developer, probably one of the developers that I've met, who you can just see him come to life and glow with excitement about his game. And I love developers like that. You know, some developers are like, yeah, so this is the feature in the game, and what happens is this. No, this man was like, you know, he was going into the story, practically doing the voices, and that makes me excited. And when you make me excited to play your game, I get excited. I want to share it with the world. And normally interview videos don't do really well, and that interview video has almost like 100,000 views. So you need to check out that interview to learn more about Runemaster. Essentially what it is it's an open world RPG with Norse mythology. So there's 6 different worlds you could travel to. You either fight for to kill Loki, or fight to kill Thor. You can actually be fighting for Loki and make Loki win for once, which I know Loki has this explosion of popularity. Women love him, men want to be him. So in this game, you can actually fight for Loki and take out Thor if you felt like it. But it's an RPG, sort of like a top-down. I think it's inspired by Heroes of Might and Magic. So it's that sort of thing where you roam this open world. You see enemies on the map that either roam or have little camps, and you go and fight them. And when you fight them, the game, you know, either zooms in or turns into this tactical map with hexes, and you have a fucking army that you're assembling over time. Your individual character shows up on the battlefield. He brings his own stats that you've been leveling up, spells and all sorts of other stuff, and these different troop types go at it. But because it's within this type of mythology that I'm really not all that familiar with, there are different types of, you know, giants and monsters and things that I haven't seen before, so I'm excited to see what this whole Runemaster is all about. So please check out the interview for Runemaster. That's like a baby project of Johan Anderson, and he's super excited. He will make you excited if you go watch that interview. So that was Runemaster. Now, they did show me some grand strategy games, and normally like I said, I haven't yet taken that plunge into grand strategy. They've been intimidating. Now, I've asked them, and the one they showed me was Europa Universalis 4, which I hear is so awesome. One of the best grand strategies. They've refined things so much. It is like a shining example. It sold really well for them. If these grand strategies are what make Paradox Internal what it is today. The latest expansion for that one is called Wealth of Nations, which adds, you know, trade routes and all these new ways to interact with the other countries. You know, so that you don't have to go to war with that country. They add, you can, you know, fight over these trade routes and merchants and stuff as a different way to interact or have conflict with these other countries that you would probably never be able to fight militarily. Because that's the thing in grand strategy. You could be any fucking country you want or can think of. You want to be the tiniest fuck. You want to be Madagascar, you can be Madagascar. You want to be, you know, all these tiny little countries, you can be them. And then you can play out the game and see how well you did and how much glory you attained at the end. But for me, I've always wanted a more clear goal, when I was basically shown EU4, I was looking at the developer and I was like, this guy is super intelligent. I was like, he must be Ivy League. I mean, these guys know all the different country names, these countries that don't even exist anymore, and how they interacted back then. And it was like, oh, I'm going to play this nation and I'm going to act this way, or I'm going to change history and do this. It was fascinating to see, and I was a little bit jealous. You know, I asked him, how do you know so much about this stuff? He's like, how do you think we play these games? It's like, yeah, we went to school, but most of the history that we've learned in different country names and shit that doesn't exist anymore, that you say you know nothing about, we learn as we play the game. So these grand strategies can actually kind of be informative and educational as you play. I know that's a bad word, but so yeah, EU4 is coming out with a new expansion. It looks pretty cool, but I haven't yet taken that plunge into Grand Strategy. But I've saved this one for last because it's one that I think I'm going to take that plunge into, and it is Hearts of Iron 4. Now, I love World War II, and I'm a huge fan of strategy, and strategy is one level, a grand strategy is one level above strategy. I'm ready to take that plunge. I'm ready to exercise my brain, because what I've seen from Hearts of Iron 4 has really excited me. I got a private, demo session where, out of order really, because I was like, oh, I need to see this game. Let me see this. And he was like, I got some time. Come in, check it out. Through the convention, all I heard was, oh, have you seen Hearts of Iron 4? You could like draw on the map. You can do your troops this way. And I was like, what, really? Let me go check it out. And so that's the feature I'm most excited for, where essentially you have all these different tactics. Let's just say one of them is attack. You take a few of your forces or provinces or territories rather, and you draw on the map. So let's say we got Poland here. I can draw an attack arrow this way and then another attack arrow this way, do like a pincer move. We're going to attack them from a two-pronged attack from both sides. And then what's even cooler is you can take units, military units, and assign them to those arrows. And then when you go ahead and play out phase 1, then all your troops will automatically go and fight, and that system was fascinating to me. It felt so natural, like I was actually a battlefield commander, like laying on one of those badass miniature tables that they do, or a History Channel type thing where you always see those arrows in motion animation. So I was so excited. This is the grand strategy game that I think I'm going to start off with, Hearts of Iron 4. Unfortunately, it doesn't come out till like 2015. And the attack arrows, that's not the only thing there is. You can do defensive arrows, like, so he put up a big defensive line on one side of Germany's captured territories, and then he pressed the unpause button, and all of his troops formed this defensive line. It was just freaking awesome the way it all looks. The map is beautiful. There's so many different things that you can do. If you want to assassinate Hitler or make sure he never comes into power or kick him out, you can do that, and you can create your own Germany and in the war, and although it's probably kind of difficult to do that, say for example, if you don't want Churchill to come into power in the UK and you want to turn UK into a fascist country and join the Axis or something crazy ass shit like that. Now of course your fucking country is probably going to be in complete chaos when you try to do that, and it's going to be extremely difficult, but you can do that. It's one of those types of games where you can literally pick any country and play as them. You want to play freaking Switzerland that was neutral, then you can play Switzerland and try to join either the Axis or the Allies. So it's super interesting, and it has actual goals, and I think that's another thing that I like about it. Obviously, it's World War II. You got Axis versus Allies. Your goal is to win the war. So that's something that I can work towards, and building up my country's industrial infrastructure, going down different research paths, which is another thing he was talking about. There's different paths, each with its unique technology tree. So, so you can get some unique abilities that other countries may not have. Germany has the Blitzkrieg stuff if you go down one path, or you can instead go down a different path and create more defensive troops troops or veteran troops that defend your borders from counterattacks and stuff like that. So obviously, this thing gets really in-depth. You can crank out those big-ass, massive tanks that Hitler tried to create towards the end of the war, but never really got too many of them out. He only made like 5 of them, which you can, go down lightning fast on that tree. Just focus that and just roll out these big mammoth tanks to try to turn the war. So obviously, I'm excited about controlling World War II from that high grand strategy level. Looking forward to Hearts of Iron 5 on that sense. So essentially, that's pretty much it. That was Paradox convention and all the titles they were showing off there. There was also a Crusader Kings expansion, an India expansion that I never got an opportunity to check out. But again, that's another grand strategy. But so I went in there thinking, their lineup seems kind of weak. But actually, I'm excited about nearly every single one of these titles. And I'm looking forward to playing them. So if you were interested in any of that shit that I was just talking about, check it out. Go to their websites or follow their Twitters so that you can stay up to date with those particular games. And I'm probably going to end up reviewing some of them. I know I'm going to do videos on a few of them, and hopefully they work out. Paradox has had that reputation in the past of releasing buggy games, at least from their external studios, but they've said, we've heard the feedback. We're going to make sure we try to make these games bug-free. The internal studio, the grand strategy stuff, the Hearts of Iron, the EU4, and the Runemaster, the internal studio has always been really good about releasing sort of relatively bug-free games. It's hard when you have a game this massive, but so I'm not too concerned about those. Hopefully they continue that tradition, but that's sort of the biggest thing that I'm worried about. It's like Paradox takes these risks with these licenses that other or these types of games that other companies would steer way clear of, or they would say, oh, that wouldn't succeed, and they give some of these games a chance, and I like that. And honestly, that company is like the least corporate bullshit company I've ever dealt with. Like every single one of the developers over there or the people associated with that company are like Johan Anderson in that interview. So it was refreshing to see that from a company. So I hope those games do well. And but if they're shitty, obviously we're gonna rip into them just as badly. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But like I said, go check out those games, and I'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.